To say the least. The last time we chatted about impeachment, obviously, is coming up again tomorrow. Came up today, in fact, in some of the news. You were definitely in favor of an inquiry. Have you heard enough? Do you think the U.S. House should impeach the President of the United States?
Here's the question. First of all, we have learned a tremendous amount, and kudos to the heroes that have come forward, some decorated war veterans, some real amazing people who have worked, the Department of State, have been our ambassadors overseas doing very important work. It's deeply, deeply troubling. No doubt that the question in front of the country is one that we ought to be very deeply troubled about. The question I think North Carolina voters have and should have is Thom Tillis prepared to be a neutral, independent arbiter of the facts if this gets to the United States Senate? So far, he has clearly rushed to judgment and says that he stands with the president, almost regardless of what the facts are. And so as I traveled, I think folks are deeply troubled by that. That rush to judgment is something that I think ought to be on voters' minds.
But have you seen enough that you think he should be impeached?
I think it's deeply troubling. I've said repeatedly that the president standing on the White House lawn and calling on foreign governments to interfere in our elections in and of itself is something that is an abuse of power. We've heard far more about the use of personal office, of political office, public office, for personal gain. And so, again, the question, I think, before North Carolina's voters is, would Thom Tillis be a neutral arbiter of that in the U.S. Senate? And he's saying he's rushing to judgment already.
Thom Tillis in his campaign, one of the, I don't know, complaint is the word, one of the criticisms of you, they say, is that you remain vague on issues and you won't answer questions fully. What was your defense to that?
I'm happy to take questions. In fact, I do it every day. I'm traveling the state. I've had numerous events, town hall meetings, forums. I'm engaging with people, including in places where Democrats don't go. So I'm not looking for the easy audiences. I'm, as a person who grew up in a small town of Lexington, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, who believes firmly in being a strong independent voice for this state, I'm taking this campaign to parts of North Carolina where it's not easy for Democrats. And I'm happy to take questions. I take them every day and give the absolute best, most honest answers I can come up with after listening first.
So, but you won't say yes or no whether you think the House should impeach President of the United States. You just say you're deeply troubled.
Well, sure. The process is underway right now. I think most Americans are deeply troubled. The facts are pretty deeply troublesome. The president used public office for personal gain. That is the definition of abuse of power. I'm asking for the responsibility to be part of a co-equal branch of government that has as part of its foundation to hold presidents accountable under circumstances exactly like this. The facts will come from the House and they'll go to the Senate. The Senate is supposed to hear witnesses. And the question I think North Carolinians are genuinely asking, will Thom Tillis do that job when it gets to his desk in the United States Senate?